What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again, and today we got the start of the year that got away from Chicago, and which should have been the middle Stanley Cup of their three-peat. That's what if for another day, but today we got the 2014 Round 1 series. Last time we covered the 2013 Stanley Cup Final. Hawks beat Boston, win their second cup in 4 years. This year could have cemented them as a dynasty if they got the goaltending they needed in Round 3, and if they could keep a lead in Round 3. But we'll get back to that later. So, St. Louis, sorry about that. So, Hawks were the third seed in the Central Division because this was the year that realignment happened. Detroit moved to the East, Columbus moved to the East. There were 16 teams in the East, 14 in the West. It was all strange. And so, it's also when the playoff format got worse, I believe. So, Hawks were the third seed in the Central Division, 107 points. St. Louis was the second seed in the Central Division, 111 points, 1 point behind top-seeded Colorado in the West. So, Game 1, Hawks lose 4-3 in triple overtime. So, very hard-fought game. Adam Cracknell, I didn't even know who that was, gets on the board first with his first of the playoffs, followed by Johnny Oduya, who makes it 1-1. Brent Seabrook scores on the power play to make it 2-1. Then a minute and 13 seconds later, Vladimir Tarasenko responds with his first of the playoffs. Then Patrick Kane, near the end of the period, makes it 3-2 with his first of the playoffs. No goals are scored in the second. In the third, Jaden Schwartz ties it to send it to overtime in St. Louis. So it's 3-3. And then in triple overtime, after no goals for 3 overtimes, Alex Steen scores the goal that would get his first of the playoffs and make it 4-3. St. Louis has a one-game series lead, 1-0 lead in the series. And we move on to Game 2, which is another 4-3 loss for Chicago, and it also happens in overtime, this time a single one. So Chris Porter gets his first of the playoffs, followed by Kevin Shattenkirk with his first in the first, so it's 2-0 after one. Then Duncan Keith makes it 2-1 in the second with his first. And Brent Seabrook and Michael Roosevelt score a minute and 15 seconds apart with each of their first of the playoffs. That's pretty sure that's the only goal I've ever seen Michael Roosevelt score, besides I remember one iconic game against Phoenix where he scored in a shootout. I'll never forget that goal because I thought he'd never scored another goal with the Hawks. So Roosevelt makes it 3-2, and then Tarasenko late in the third again does it again, and with his second of the playoffs makes it 3-3. And then in the overtime, Barrett Jackman, of all people, he was third on the team in points this playoffs. He averages 4 goals a series, or not a series. That would be incredible. 4 goals a game, 4 goals in a season, and he gets the winner in overtime of all people. So I always liked Barrett Jackman. He was a nice guy, nice character in the league. Game 3, Hawks come back home and they win 3-2. No, 3-2-0. Jonathan Toews scores the only goal in the first to make it 1-0 with his first, and then in the third, Marcus Kruger makes it 2-0 with an empty netter with his first, and now the Hawks are down 2-1 for Game 4 in Chicago, which they win 4-3 in overtime. So 4-3 in overtime, triple overtime, 4-3 overtime, 4-3 overtime, 3 out of the 4 games in overtime, and then 4 out of the 5 games with Game 5 in overtime. So Andrew Shaw gets on the board first on the power play, and then Patrick Kane gets his second of the playoffs to make it 2-0. Tarasenko then gets his third of the series and the playoffs on the power play. Then a minute and 5 seconds later, Maxime Lapierre scores to get his first of the playoffs. I didn't even know he was on St. Louis at that time. I remember him in Montreal, and I remember him in Vancouver. I don't remember him in St. Louis. So no goals were scored in the first. You got 4 goals in the second. And then the third, Brian Bickle makes it 3-2 with his first of the playoffs. And then Tarasenko with his second of the game in 4th of the series and 4th of the playoffs make it 3-3. And then in overtime, it's Patrick Kane with his third of the series and playoffs. And the series is tied 2-2 going back to St. Louis for Game 5, in which the Hawks win 3-2 in overtime. And Marian Hossa scores his first of the series and playoffs to make it 1-0. Then TJ Oshie gets his first to make it 1-1. Ben Smith. Ben Smith, you saw what he did in the 2011 playoffs against Vancouver. In the 2014 conference final against LA, he just had... And it's a wonder how he wasn't better, because he was a playoff guy. This guy, in the playoffs, I loved Ben Smith. Had never got the regular season going. That's why he's playing in Germany now, but always one of my favorite playoff performers with the Hawks with the 2 years he played in the playoffs, and I'm pretty sure he played a few games in 2013 as well. So he gets on the board to make it 2-1. Then Alex Pietrangelo makes it 2-2 with his first of the playoffs. Then Jonathan Toews with his second of the playoffs gets the game winner in overtime, 3-2, going back to Chicago with the Hawks leading the series 3-2. And Game 6, Hawks close it out. They win 5-1. Brian Bickle scores his second of the playoffs to make it 1-0 in the first. Then that was responded to by TJ Oshie with his second in 2 games and second of the series and second of the playoffs to make it 1-1. No goals are scored in the second, but in the third, it's over. Jonathan Toews makes it 2-1 with his third of the playoffs. Patrick Sharp then scores a minute and 17 seconds later to make it 3-1 with his first. Andrew Shaw gets his second of the playoffs with make it 4-1, and then Duncan Keith makes it 5-1 with his second of the playoffs. Series over. Hawks win 5-1, take the series 4-2. And let's look at the stats. For the Hawks, Toews is the leader, Toews and Keith are the leaders. Toews has 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. Keith 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points. Then Kane and Seabrook each had 6 points, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points for Kane. Seabrook 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. Crawford has what goes 4-2 with a .935 save percentage, not too shabby. Would be his best series, definitely. Shattenkirk then had, only 2 people had more than 4 points or more on the St. Blues. I tried to no one even had the 5, 7, 6 like the Hawks had, so I had to just pick the 2 top ones. Shattenkirk had 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. Tarasenko 4 goals, no assist, 4 points. Then Ryan Miller, who St. Louis got at the deadline, because I'm pretty sure that was the year Jake Allen got injured, and so they got him from Buffalo. That's when they said that was when they sent a bunch of people back that way. No, actually, that was the second time around. That was that O'Reilly trade. Yeah, St. Louis and Buffalo have done many big transactions. So Miller goes 2-4 with an .897 save percentage. Yeah, that was pretty much. Miller was great in Buffalo. Then Buffalo got bad, and then went to St. Louis for that playoffs, and then he went to Vancouver, and then he went to Anaheim when they were bad, and now he's retired. If he was on better teams, I would argue he's Hall of Fame caliber. He was one of the best goalies of my childhood. When 2010, he was the Team USA goalie in the Olympics. He was just played on horrible teams his whole career. I mean, Buffalo. His rookie year in 2006, they went to the conference final. 2007, they was in the President's Trophy. They get eliminated in the second round. 2008, they don't make the playoffs. 2009, they don't make the playoffs. 2010, they get eliminated in the first round. 2011, they get eliminated in the first round. 2012, no playoffs. 2013, no playoffs. 2014, gets straight to St. Louis. Basically going over his whole career right now at the deadline. Loses in the first round. 2015, then he signs as a UFA in Vancouver. Gets eliminated in the first round. Stays in Vancouver all the way up until his contract is up. Then he goes to Anaheim for 2 years as a backup to Gibson or Storlot. If Gibson was injured, he would step in more, or Storlot. I can't pronounce his name. And Stolotz, I think that's how you pronounce it. And yeah, so Miller, kind of his career, 5-6 playoff appearances in all, since 2006. So 2006 to about 2021, he retired last year. So 15 years, 6 playoff appearances for a goalie that won silver medal at the 2010 Olympics and was arguably the best USA goalie of 2010. Before Quick became prominent, before Schneider had his little stint. But yeah, that's really all I have for you guys today. I kind of went on Ryan Miller's career, but he was a great goaltender when he was in Buffalo. Then just his teams failed him, and yeah, that's kind of just the sad part of his career. But the Hawks win this series. They would go on to play the Minnesota in the next round, who had just toppled the top-seeded Colorado in the West in 7. So we'll go over that next time, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.